Let's catch up with Gemma Tognini from GT Communications again. Good to talk to you, Gemma.
Happy Friday, Chris.
Oh, my God, I'm hanging out for this Friday. I'll tell you what, I'm knackered. Now, tell me this. As intelligent and compassionate human beings, surely we can look at the Biloela family and be glad and feel happiness for them that they're going to go home to a town that is their home, but at the same time be deeply worried about what signal this sends to the people smugglers sitting in Indonesia ready to start up their trade again.
I think we can walk and chew gum. And I say all of this as the daughter of a man who came to Australia when he was 10. He was a post-war economic migrant, like so many of our viewers. And so I have I come at this understanding the risk that my grandfather took in coming first. And obviously different set of circumstances. They didn't come via a people smuggling operation. But I will say this, Chris, I empathise with this family because isn't that the model of what we want migrant families to do? We want them to go into the regions, become part of the community. They're loved by the community. I think someone might correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember at the very beginning of this saga saying the Prime Minister Scott Morrison was only just in that role, and he talked about leading with compassion and justice. And my view is that this was a perfect example of how to lead with compassion and justice. But the other thing I think, as a coalition, successions of government have failed, but coalition government, if we can't do better as Conservatives than locking people up for decades, long-term detention, and make that process more efficient, then I think we have failed.
Well, that's the legal system,
right?
Isn't it?
That is the legal system, but it's also the bureaucratic system. I know a little bit. People that I'm close to are close to that system, and the absolute inefficiency would make you weep. And if it was, we know that justice is for the wealthy, right? And I'm a Conservative. I am a Conservative voter. No one will be surprised by that. But I fundamentally do not believe that we can't do better. And the Labor government before failed, and the Liberal government before failed.
Well, I think the trouble is, if people are found not to be refugees, they should be returned, but they can't be because endless appeals ensue.
Right.
And this victory is very unjust to other people who'd like to get here.
The whole system.
And it sends a terrible system. Let's just have a signal. Let's just have a look at the Treasurer, Jim Chalmers, who happens to be the acting Home Affairs Minister till next week, I suppose. We don't know who the real minister's going to be. Here he is on the phone to people in the Biloela community.
I've now spoken to the family, and they've gone all through the processes at the Perth end. And I really just wanted to ring you and tell you how much we appreciate the way that you've spoken up for this beautiful family and for the great credit that you've brought to that beautiful Queensland town of Biloela. So I really just wanted to say thank you.
Do you know what I hate about that? That is just rank politics.
Well, it is. It's making himself a hero.
Right.
And we've seen this movie before. That's the easiest game in politics.
Isn't it?
We're welcoming you. We're letting you in here. Well, you wait to see what happens, how tough it is when the boats turn up.
And my question to Mr Chalmers is he going to do that for every single family in the same situation? I think that was really wrong. Personally, really wrong.
Well said. Now, speaking of compassion and moving to the left, Darren Chester is going to challenge Barnaby Joyce for the leadership of the Nationals.
Right.
Here he is speaking today.
The point is, we had significant swings against us in many seats, and I am concerned that as I travel around my electorate, as I travel around regional Australia, I'm constantly getting feedback from younger voters and female voters that they don't think we connect with them. They don't think we are focused on the issues, the diversity of issues that they're interested in.
A woke Nationals leader? Are we going to see that, or is Barnaby going to eat him for breakfast?
I wouldn't call Darren woke from what I know of him. I've never met him, but I've seen him on social media, and what I've seen of him I like in terms of how he presents himself. He's got a great stream of Australian political dogs for those who are interested in his social media content. But I certainly wouldn't call Darren woke. I
reckon he's the woke National. He's like the ABC favourite from the Nationals.
Oh, well, I wouldn't. Well, that's such a shame, really. But
I know it's a contradictory term, woke National,
the Nats held all their seats, right?
They did, yeah.
So clearly something was going right there. But I would say, I've got friends in WA's wheat belt who are active, women my age and younger who are in farming communities. They're active in their communities. And I think Conservative politics in general have to really ask themselves, are they ready to hear the hard truths? And unless they learn from the pain of what was a humiliating defeat last weekend, then you can't help people who won't learn.
You cannot at all. Now, speaking of Western Australia, I want I want to just show a comment from earlier in the week.
Right.
We haven't got around to this so far this week. This is from the heroic Premier of Western Australia. And this is
Dear Leader.
Dear Leader. This is the Dear Leader, Mark McGowan, talking about the man who's about to be the Dear Leader of the Liberal Party federally. Have a look.
He's an extremist. He's an extremist. And I don't think he fits with modern Australia at all. And he doesn't seem to listen. He's extremely conservative. I actually don't think he's that smart. I've seen him present on things. I don't really pick up there's much there.
So he reckons he's dumb and an extremist. How horrible is that?
I am trying for whatever part I get to play to be part of the change I want to see, and I hate that. I hate that part of politics. I hate that Tanya Plibersek this week did something that if a man did it would end their career. And she's apologised, and the Prime Minister Albanese, pulled her up on it, and good on him. And some have said, oh, well, he only pulled her up on it because of faction. I don't care why he did it. He did it. If a man had have said that woman can't lead because she's got a funny haircut or her backside's big or whatever, it would be the dead set end of them. But saying things like that, Mr McGowan, saying things like that, to what end, right? Like, to what end would you say stuff like that? It's not leadership. That's high school material.
Yeah, it's lowbrow stuff. Let's go to the opposite end then. Lowbrow, let's go someone who behaves with dignity. A quick look at the Queen, because
I love the Queen. I love Lizzie.
She's been out and about. She was at the Chelsea Flower Show during the week, and there's going to be a lot of fuss over her Platinum Jubilee next week. Here she is. She couldn't walk. The first time she hasn't walked around the flower display. She's in a golf buggy, but...
I'd go in a golf buggy. I can walk, but I'd take a ride if they were offered. Isn't she just a remarkable example of leadership, purpose over preference? She could have sacrificed. She could have walked away. People, she became Queen, essentially, faster because, her uncle abdicated and chased a bit of skirt back to the United States. Am I allowed to say that? Still probably not. You're not, I am.
She probably would look at an early retirement, but she's too smart because she knows her eldest son is Charles and she wouldn't inflict that on him.
She's got to just leapfrog him. I don't know how, but I'm Team William
pass it over
all
to
the
William
way.
Thanks for joining us again,
Pleasure.
Gemma. Have a great weekend.
You too, mate.